Depending on where they're from, ingredients can tell a story. When bees make honey, they're actually concentrating the nectar from the many flowers that they visit. Because of this, each hive's honey takes on the flavor of the plants and flowers that grow around it. The flavor of milk is impacted in much the same way. Today, I'm making a dish inspired by milk and honey, two ingredients that tell the story of the places they were made. I'm starting off by mixing some powdered gelatin with a bit of cold water and leaving that to bloom for 10 minutes. Then in a pot, I'm combining 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of cream, some sugar, and some honey. Then I'm adding in a bit of vanilla and getting the pot over medium heat until it comes to a simmer. I'm adding in my bloom gelatin and whisking until dissolved. Before I fill my silicone molds, I'm roughly measuring and cutting out some circles of bubble wrap, which is what will give the top of the panna cotta the look of honeycomb. To make it easier to pour, I'm transferring the panna cotta into a jug. Once I've filled my molds, I'm gently pressing a circle of bubble wrap on top of each panna cotta before getting them in the fridge to set up. Once set, slowly peel off the bubble wrap before transferring your panna cotta to the freezer, which will make them easier to remove from the silicone molds. Once frozen, remove them from the molds, place them on a parchment-lined baking tray, and get them back into the fridge until it's time to serve. Next, I'm making honey graham cracker crumbs by mixing some softened butter, brown sugar, and honey together in a bowl. Then I'm mixing through a bit of cinnamon and some vanilla. For the dry ingredients, I'm whisking together some flour, baking soda, and salt, and adding this into the wet ingredients before stirring to combine. I'm transferring the dough, which will be fairly dry and crumbly, onto a sheet pan and baking this at 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius for 10 to 12 minutes. Once baked, I'm just going to break up the crumbs and then transfer them to an airtight container until I'm ready to plate. The last element I'm adding to my dessert is a tart rhubarb gel. To make this, I'm roughly chopping some rhubarb and getting it into a pot. Then adding in just enough water to cover the rhubarb and leaving this to simmer on low for about 20 minutes until soft and cooked. Now I'm using a hand blender to puree the stewed rhubarb until smooth before using a scale to measure out how much puree I have so I know how much agar-agar to add. Agar-agar is a plant-based gelling agent, and for this recipe I'm going to add 1.1 grams for every 100 milliliters of liquid. To get the agar to set, the mixture needs to go back on the heat and come back up to a boil before being passed through a strainer and placed in the fridge. Once set, I'm getting my rhubarb gel into a blender and blitzing until smooth. Then I'm just adding a little bit of food coloring to make the color of the gel a bit more pronounced. Now that everything's ready, it's time to plate.